Okay, first item on the agenda is the closed session portion of the meeting. May I have a mover and seconder to go into closed session under the authorities as printed in the agenda? Councillor Muir, Councillor Brand, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, coming out of closed session, council approved the closed session minutes from the June 6th and June 3rd meeting. Council discussed matters relating to an identifiable individual and acquisitions of and dispositions of land in closed sessions. Time being 7 p.m., I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the traditional territory acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silence. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, the Anishinaabe, and Métis people. Administration advises that there are 3 additions to the agenda, including a council resignation and council vacancy and legal matters under closed session. Do any members of council wish to make additional amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Smith? Councillor Gladden? All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, are there any declarations of interest to disclose? Seeing none. Okay, tonight we have Mike from Aqua joining us electronically to review the first quarterly report and order summary report. Thanks, Mike. I'm glad I didn't have to pronounce your last name.
The good part is there's no wrong way of saying it. My name is Mike DeHauja. I'm the Senior Operations Manager for the Ontario Clean Water Agency, running out of Thunder Bay. Today I'll just give you the summary of the Q1 report for January to March of 2024 for the Red Rock water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities. Water treatment plant flows. During the Q1, Red Rock drinking water system operated without interruption. The maximum flow rate of the treatment system to the distribution system did not exceed rated capacity of 2,722. In January, our total water flows were 6,323 cubic meters, a daily average of 204 cubic meters, with a daily maximum flow of 231 cubic meters. In February, the total water flow was 6,218, with a daily average of 214, a daily maximum flow of 248. And in March, we had a water flow of 6,468 cubic meters, with a daily average of 208, with a maximum flow of 269. Our wastewater treatment plant flows during the Q1 in Red Rock, the facility operated without interruption. In January, our total effluent flow was 9,275. Our daily average effluent flow was 300. Our maximum effluent flow was 335. In February, our total flow was 8,692. Our daily average was just under 300. Our maximum effluent flow was 527. And in March, our effluent flow was 10,292. Our average 332. Our daily maximum effluent flow was 623. With a total effluent flow of 45,187. Our compliance summary: all bacteriological and chemical laboratory sampling, as well as distribution chlorine residuals, were taken within the proper timelines as per the Ontario Regulation 170.03, and no adverse results were detected. Occupational health and safety, there were no new health or safety related concerns or incidents to report in Q1. Inspections and communications with the regulatory authority. The 2023-2024 MECP inspection of the drinking water system occurred on January 10th, 2024, with the inspection rating was very good at 97%. There were no community complaints or concerns throughout the Q1 of 2024, and there were no alarms or call-outs in Q1 of 2024. The work order summary report was attached as well. I will continue to forward these reports with the quarterly report, the work order reports with the quarterly reports as well. In closing, I would like to thank you for your time in reviewing the quarterly operational report. And if you have any questions or concerns at any time, I can be contacted and help at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions from council? Seeing none. I don't have any, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Is there a mover and seconder for motion to receive the first quarter report for the Red Rock water and wastewater treatment system from Aqua? Councillor Gladden. Councillor Smith. I think it's all in favor. Motion's carried. Thank you again. Okay, open session minutes of the last regular meeting, June 3rd, are at items 5.1 on the of the agenda. Any errors or omissions? Note in the minutes. May I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the minutes at items 5.1? Councillor Muir. Councillor Smith. All in favor? Motion's carried. Open session minutes of the last special meeting, June 6th, are at items 5.2 of the agenda. Any errors or omissions to note in the minutes? Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the minutes? Councillor Brand. Councillor Muir. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, there are no resolutions from other municipalities. Next up, 6.2, discussion purposes regarding a donation letter from the Red Rock Indian Band for their traditional annual gathering. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Councillor Muir?
Yeah, I'd like to put a motion into support for the amount of 250.
No other questions or comments then? Yep, go ahead.
Did we do 250 last year? Is that normal? I know we set our normal to be 250. I didn't know if we would want to go a little higher for this particular one at all. But
We did look back and we did do 250 last
Okay.
year. That was last year's donation.
Okay, so is there a mover and seconder for motion to approve a donation in the amount of $250 to the Red Rock Indian Band for their traditional annual gathering? Councillor Brand, Councillor Gladden, all in favor? Motion's carried. Next item, 6.3, information purposes regarding an update from the Thunder Bay or DSAB board. Do any members of council have any remarks? Okay. Okay, next item, 6.5, information purposes only regarding the 2024 spring sector meeting agenda for Emergency Management Ontario. Do members of council have any remarks on this? No. Did I miss that one? Oh, I did. Okay, so I did 6.5. I'll go back to 6.4 then. Okay, 6.4 information purposes relating to the February 24th meeting minutes from the Thunder Bay District Municipal League. Do any members of the council have any remarks? Crossed off the wrong one. Seeing none? Okay, 6.6, right? Information purposes only regarding the April 24th, 2024 meeting minutes from NOMA. Do any members of council have any remarks? Seeing none. Okay, 6.7, information purposes only regarding the May 7th, 2024 meeting minutes from the top of Lake Superior Chamber of Commerce. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Councilor Mayor?
I just wanted to clarify when I was reading the judges. Did I read that correctly, or is there a typo there? Okay, so Ashley David is in fact Ashley Davis. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Thank you. Okay, item 6.8. Information purposes only regarding a news release from the province on Premier Ford's Renew Team Rebuilding Ontario Economy. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Seeing none. 6.9, information purposes only regarding the 2024 board meeting summary report. Do any members of council have any remarks? The NOMA board. Okay. 6.10 is information purposes only regarding the June 3rd, 2024 board meeting summary report. NOMA again. Do any members of council have any remarks? Seeing none. 6.11, information purposes only regarding NOMA's regional economic plan for 2025 to 2035. Do any members of council have any remarks on this? Yeah. A lot of work went into that. No comments? Yeah. Okay. 8.1 is the report from the Community Development Officer. Ask Ashley to come up. Do any members of council have any questions on her report?
Go for it, Counselor Smith.
Councilors, Brand.
Number two, the community interpretation plan, is that the Norval Morso thing we're trying to get?
The Norval Morso Thunderbird exhibit is the one that's in Nipigon at the Tower Lookout. No, it was decided last year that they would move it to Nipigon when Superior Country was no longer in this building. Yes. The community interpretation plan is the Red Rock logo and branding, and our signage plan. You're welcome.
Councilor Smith.
Mine are really easy. How is the organizing of Canada Day going? Do we have a good amount of volunteers?
We have a pretty good program. I could probably use about another 5 or 6 volunteers. More it would be awesome. Then I'm not asking too much of the ones I already have. It looks like we'll have a pretty good day. We do have some music confirmed for the evening. There's lots of activities for prizes, but there's lots of open activities for people to participate in. The highlights would be the parade starting at 1 o'clock at the Recreation Center and heading down to the flagpole out in front of the Marina Building. The opening ceremonies would happen once, basically just after 1 o'clock, once the parade arrives down here. And so there is a float wheels decorating contest to go along with the parade. So be sure to decorate your wagons, strollers, ATVs, golf carts, trucks, cars, etc. To come on down for that. We do have the Friends of the Red Rock Public Library will be having a station. The NMCA is finalizing whether they'll have enough interpreters to have a table set up down here. The credit union and the early on will be having an open house on the Friday. The inmates are Saturday, of course. We've got races, yard games, watermelon eating contests, face painting, beanbag toss tournament, bubble stations, catch the mayor in an inflatable costume. We're bringing back the cook-off trophy, and this year is Can You Dip It? So it's hot dips, cold dips, whatever you can do. So whether it's with veggies, crackers, chips, or like pumpernickel bread or something like that, we're having a cook-off this year again. So we do have our annual cook-off trophy. Noodle races, the firefighters will be doing their barbecue. We've got they'll be hosting a closest to the pin chipping contest as well. Couple relay races, couple crafts, community bonfire, and our fireworks display. And there's also an ATV ride and the Legion brunch. So it's going to be a fun-filled day. So
That's awesome. That sounds really, really good. I'm really happy. I am gonna be a judge for the parade. I think I put my name down, so.
yep, if you want to do anything else, let me know.
I might.
Okay, we'll reach out to
Shoot me
you.
an email. when-
Yep. But yeah, so if anybody else is looking to volunteer for an hour and a half, that would be great. I can always spread people out a little more.
My other questions, around we're anticipating a week closure for the bridge repair. At
Yes.
some time. Now, are we gonna ensure, I don't know if that's me or not, that we are gonna maintain the, escape route?
Yes.
You know, make sure we get it graded, all that's all in the works and the plans and so.
Yeah, so this week we'll have JML on site doing their site inspection for the work to be done this summer, and then they'll be working with KEM as a continuation of the work that was done last year. So they have some finishing off to do, as well as the new work that's to be done on Vent 11 this year. Once they do that inspection, they'll get back to us with a schedule, but we are anticipating about a 1 week closure. So the escape road will be open again, and we'll make sure that that doesn't impact the setup down at the folk festival.
Councillor Brand?
Just a quick question, Ashley. You were rhyming off all these Canada Day activities, which sounds wonderful. Do you have people selling stuff like artisans, that kind of thing at all? No.
Not this year. That
Okay.
is a lot to organize for one person organizing it. If people are great to volunteer the day of, but to get other people to help actually organize the event is a little bit of a struggle. So with one person organizing it, it's on top of everything else that I have to do with us is quite a bit. So, but one thing I would like to add is in the past, we have had the Interpretive Center free of charge for Canada Day. That is a fee schedule adjustment. So I'm just seeking direction from council again to go ahead with our free admission to the Interpretive Center exhibit for Canada Day. So in the passing of my report, that would essentially allow for free admission on Canada Day.
Yeah, I don't see actually any problem that we've been doing in the past, and I think it's great to get people in the building and then it's word of mouth and get more people in.
And we will be having a couple activities out of this room, so. There are a couple other things that I can just touch on briefly. The tree canopy assessment will be taking place the middle to the end of July, so you'll have that report by the end of hopefully mid-August, end of August, for direction moving forward with that. I'm continuing to work with the Dunville family on their sign for the Dunville Memorial Park. Continuing work on the recreation center. The HVAC system is almost done in the gymnasium upstairs. There's some finishing work on the bowling alley. They'll be coming back in to do the final setup of the computer portion of the automatic scoring system. So that will be ready to go. They're working on the header system and the condenser system for the arena right now, so there's more work happening there. You'll see the insulations up around the entire building. So they're finishing up the insulation and siding will be going up soon. And continuing to organize the Paiute Mountain Run along with a host of other activities. So those are kind of the main things that I've got on my radar right now.
Counselor Muir.
So as far as the tree canopies go, was that just up the main?
Entire town.
Okay, because I noticed a few trees and I don't know what was going on. They kind of look like the leaves aren't coming as quick and they're
Mhm.
slowing down. So, okay, so that's gonna be done there.
Yeah, so they'll be looking at the health of the trees, if there's any of them that are diseased and whether or not there's any chance of saving them versus taking down the tree or just removing those infected limbs.
Perfect. Paiute, how many, is it full yet or how close are we?
I don't know if Paiute could ever be full, but so far we have 17 registrants right now, which is pretty good considering that's all we had last year. Sponsorships are going well. We've got some good sponsors on board again. It's nice because our expenses are a little lower this year because we had to buy new bibs and medals and a lot of those upfront expenses that cover us for 5 years were done last year. So our expenses are a little lower this year, which is nice.
And then my final question is just the waterfront report. I see it's still going there. Just, it's on the table still.
It's on the
Yeah,
table.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, thanks.
Counselor Brand.
Regarding the Paiute Run, have you been up there lately? I'm just wondering, does the township get to grade that? Do we have permission? Because there's quite a few from the running water crevices in the road.
Yes, our staff normally does grade the road before the race does take place. We have permission from the owners this year, so it's.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No. I look forward to racing any sucker that wants to jump in a costume. I look forward to that. So is there a mover and seconder for a motion to receive the report? Counselor Glenn. All in favor? Motion's carried. Probably fall and hurt myself, but that's okay. All in good fun. Yeah. Item 8.2 is report from the fire chief. Do members of the council have any questions on this report? No questions? Okay, is there a mover and seconder for motion to receive the report? Counselor Gladden. Counselor Muir. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next item, 8.3 is a report on administrative activities. Do any members of council have any questions on this report? Oh, Councilor Brand.
Just wondering if you can give us an update on the town hall and what the structure is going to be, if you've gone that far yet.
Yeah, I can go through the report if you like, if there's any questions, or I can get right to that. I was gonna update that or get council's direction on that in the last section, but.
Yeah, I think.
But if there's any other questions, otherwise I can just kind of go through that. It's not, it's a smaller report at this point, so I mean, that'd be kind of where I would head to. Anyhow, so I could start there if you like. So just following up with Rock Tech Lithium, they provided a tentative date, if that works for council. So kind of a save the date, September 18th, where they would kind of perform a kind of a community engagement session for the community, a town hall kind of thing. So just kind of save that date if it works, and I can let them know tomorrow that it will work, or potentially work, and we can save that date. So I'll make that note. Town hall, on the structure, and I mean, it's kind of what I wanted to discuss is why I had set structure in there. It's your meeting as council. I don't know how generally you want to set that structure, but that's kind of the discussions that have led to the last couple of meetings leading to this, like what structure do we want to take? Like, for example, I mean, some similar structures could be where we put a date out to take questions, submit questions to the office. And if we're using, I believe it's is it the 24th? Yeah, July 24th date. Maybe very quickly this week, we could put something out to the community to submit questions, right? And then we can go through those questions. The structure, I guess, is I'll take direction from council on how they want that meeting to look, right? I don't suggest we go in and just field questions based on no pre-knowledge or the ability to have an answer. I don't know what you generally solve in that manner, but if you want to set a structure based on something similar to us, you know, asking the community to submit questions, and then we can kind of sift through those questions and field it that way. But again, this is your meeting, and I'm taking suggestions from each of you tonight.
Councillor Smith.
I do like the idea of giving administration a heads up to the questions. I think that it would be nice. However, I think to me at least, if they submit their questions and they state that they'll be there and want to ask that question, then they can come, they can stand up, they can ask their question and get their answer. So that we don't just broadly state answers to all these submitted questions, so that they're there, they can get their voice heard and know. I'm good with that. I think also, you know, so that people don't monopolize the time and stuff, that it's limited to, you know, X amount of time per person. And if they want to try to get, you know, as many questions as they want, maybe in that little short period of time, but knowing the fact that it's still a limited time so that everybody can kind of have their own chance to have a word or a say. But again, no violence, no anger. It's got to be, you know, politically correct, and is what it is.
Yeah, we would obviously mediate that to a time limit as well as to a question, right? I mean, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, we want to get into some kind of a screaming match at a town hall by any means. We're hoping to provide information that helps the citizens get an answer to their question. And that's why I think the pre-questions help, and then maybe a time frame, like maybe you have 5 minutes to ask that question. I think it's also essential that, you know, I mean, you put your name behind your question so that we know who we're addressing, or they put that question with the intention of showing up and asking that question. And I don't know how council wants to handle the answers to those questions. I mean, I've been involved in a few town halls where the CAO answers those questions based on knowledge, but generally, you know, the councilors, you know, have the ability to answer the questions if so be if they want as well. So the structure, I think it works to reach out for questions, but that's my opinion based on that. I mean, it's again your meeting.
Councillor Brand.
I like reaching out to the community members to submit questions. I'd like to see that in a form of perhaps like you know, at the credit union, having some papers there with people who aren't on social media, who can submit, have a box at Red Rock Credit Union or Saunders or Damters, whatever. I'd like to see that. I think 5 minutes is long. I think if I go up, I ask my question, I can stand there and wait for the response, and then I move to the back of the line. I feel that I would like that if there are people who show up and haven't submitted questions, if we have time at the end, that they can just ask off the floor. And if it's a question to Mr. Spigamini, if he's not able to answer it, then we say we'll get back. If they have a question for a counselor, we try our best, and again, if we can't answer it, then we get back to them. If we had, I'd like to see the questions that are written and provided done first, and then, you know, maybe 20 minutes or something at the end of it, allow off the floor. And again, it would be just come up, ask your question, and move to the back of the line.
Yeah, and I think we put a time frame on it, so whatever that time frame for the discussion is, I mean, I don't know, does the meeting last no longer than an hour and a half? Does the meeting last 2 hours? Does it, I guess those are kind of, because ideally then if you're looking at questions and you get a whole, like how do you, if you get so many, how do you pick which one to do? So I think the structure means a lot in this format, and it helps. It helps us to have some questions. I mean, certainly not I mean, if you want questions off the floor, I mean, we can certainly answer those or do our best to, but it's certainly nice to be able to provide somebody an answer as opposed to, going to a 2-hour meeting and saying, I'll have to get back to you. I'll have to get back to you. So I think I think if we could set some kind of a structure tonight, we can easily put a plan together this week to reach out to the community.
So I'm in favor of a date of submission. So they have, a certain time period to submit just the general topic that they're going to ask. I want to talk about taxes. I want to talk about recreation. I want to talk about roads, whatever it is. And you're given 5 minutes. They're going to be given rules on our meeting procedure. And then we can group the questions, right? Because some are going to be repetitive. We know that. Right? So somebody might say, you know what, I'm going to forgo my question because it was answered there. 5 minutes. I'm not in favor of a bear pit session. That's what's going to happen when you have open from the floor. Some people are going to like some of the answers that they receive. So either it's a structured meeting or it's not. So I'm not in favor of having it open to the floor at the end of the meeting. That's my Councilor Muir.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The bear pit session is exactly what's gonna happen. At the end of the day, if you have open questions that just come to top of mind, I'm more than willing to show up 25 minutes or stay even after a council meeting and have a conversation. Somebody wants to have like myself personally, I'm prepared to answer those questions at any time, but I'm sure not gonna stand in front of 200 people and have somebody in an unstructured meeting. We've been in structured meetings where they've gone sideways because all it takes is one person to go off the rail, and that's what happens in a meeting. Structured is the way to go. You got any unstructured questions? Meeting's done at whatever time we're done. I'm going to my car. I can answer those questions. Not a problem at all. I'm at the grocery store. I can answer that. You send me an email, I answer that. But in a public setting where you have people that are actually generally giving up their time that have legitimate questions, I agree with structured. Like I said, unstructured, come anytime for me. Ask me.
And I think if we're giving 5 minutes, like it's a max of 20 people, because we're going to respond in 5 to, 5 minutes always turns into 6 into 7. If you're talking back and forth. So I mean, the meeting's an hour and a half, 2 hours max. Start at 6. I mean, it is, we do have people driving home and all of that kind of stuff. So Councillor Gladden.
I agree with everything that's been said. I just would maybe recommend an independent mediator. Someone that's independent from council and administration. Just to keep everybody honest and in order.
Yeah, we can look at that. So what I'm hearing is kind of I guess we'll look for final direction at the end, but I agree. I think the structured meeting works best. I mean, we're not in an all candidates night or anything. We're providing information. We're not going to refuse questions. I mean, if you have a question to bring, then we'll hopefully have it in a couple of weeks, as per se, to research if we need be. And so I'm hearing about an hour and a half long meeting with an independent mediator and reach out to the citizens both via social media as well as paper to find questions and go that way. But again, I'll take the direction tonight and we'll start planning. We'll do whatever it is, whatever the will of council is.
think what you just said is I think what we're looking for. Right, because members of the public do have the opportunity to come to council at any time. They can submit their own letter and make a presentation or a deputation. So this is, when you're with a group of people, they might feel a little more comfortable or not as singled out. So if they miss their chance, then they always come to council. Councilor Mayor.
Yeah, and I think that's one important part too, is we don't get many deputations, so to speak. We don't get many visitors here. I mean, yeah, it's more than welcome anytime if somebody wants to do a deputation, has a question with regards to anything. Submit the question mark, come sit down and we have the conversation. But again, like I'm gonna say it for a final time, definitely when you have a meeting of that size, structure works. We have staff that are going to be there and keep it in order and keep a good workplace, I think is the way to go. But again, that's just my opinion.
Councilor Mayor Arset.
Again, I just wanted to kind of maybe reiterate, I like the idea of the submitted questions because again, if we're trying to, we have a better idea too, after the time frame, we can see all the questions that were submitted and then we can really genuinely see how long we need to book. If we need to change the length of the meeting, we can, but because we're based on those number of questions that kind of go that way. It's not like we're not going to cut somebody off, maybe.
Well, our job is to hopefully provide all the answers, right? So that's why you want to know what the idea that they're talking about. So, I mean, it might not be verbatim what they ask in person, but I mean, it should be the concept. It's about taxes. It's about whatever their topic is. And then that's what we speak to. So if they want to add things, and so unfortunately, that's not how it's going to work.
Yeah, no, I think we've got enough direction there. I guess the Legion venue, is that where we would reach out to? And yeah, we can do something and set a date so that we have, we can probably allow for a month away in general rough. So I mean, if we put it out there and left ourselves to, a week or so, or a week or two to field those questions. So we put it out for a couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll get enough questions that way.
Councilor Mayor.
Can you make sure the bar's open for after, please?
Okay, waterfront.
Yeah, waterfront was something that Councillor Muir wanted to bring to at least the table for discussion. So
Yeah, so leading into my last comment. So just get everyone ready here. So when you look at tourism and you look at, let's take Europe as a prime example, and several places in Ontario have a bylaw where you can go to a park and have a glass of wine and a picnic. Pull in on your sailboat, come on the shore, have a glass of wine at the picnic table. I am really looking at some of the tourist ideas, and it's just nice to be able to go and have a beer. I sound like a politician here. Have a beer. It's more than $1. So you have a beer and in the sun, go to the splash pad. Have a picnic with your family, have a glass of wine. I think it's just one of those things. It's an enhancement to the community. I'm not saying let's turn it down into a bar down there, but for events such as Canada Day, you sit around the campfire, you can have one of those iced teas that Councillor Smith likes. So I'm just thinking that there's something we can put on the table here for council to look at a bylaw that allows you for the certain months to be able to have a nice drink down at the waterfront, controlled, respectfully, to have down here. Just an enhancement to our natural beauty that we have down here. So the waterfront, have a beer while you're fishing. I think it's one of those things. It's an enhancement.
Well, Councillor, there's no drinking in boats.
On the shore, you walk down here, you have a beer, or you come down with family, they drive you a beer. I'm not saying bring a case of beer and sit on the park bench. I'm saying, as an enhancement. Yeah, they have this bylaw in Toronto, and I believe they have it down in BC in a couple spots. They've got it going, and it was successful pilot in Toronto. It worked. I think it was 27 parks, and they had a successful time there. So, I mean, if people are going to drink in a location, why hide it this way? I mean, little more acceptable. Very liberal, so just throwing that out there. I'd like to put a motion in though, so we could look at possibly having a bylaw created to allow this during the summer months.
Well, I think we can probably maybe ask administration to look into it and then maybe speak with UOPP, I don't think there's anybody around here that offers that, but has anyone?
Yeah, I've got a note to look at bylaw options. I know we did see where the city of Toronto had an option or a bylaw. I didn't fully review it to see if it was a full-time or it was a special events kind of thing, but we can certainly look into that for sure. I mean, and if that's, I mean, if council directs us to at least look further at it, then we can certainly do that.
Councillor Brand?
I'd like to know what the liability would be for us to have that and how much the insurance would go up if we did do that as well.
And those are some of the great questions that we'll look at for sure. I mean, those would be questions that we'll have to get answers to for sure in the process.
And then just to add to that, so currently, when we have people staying down here in their RVs, in theory, they can't have a drink at their RV. So this would also enhance that as well too, right? I mean, there's nothing worse than being a tourist and walking from a boat to possibly, just around the park with the beer, not knowing the rules, and all of a sudden you get a $250 fine. So that's what I'm looking at this from a touristic standpoint. Touristic, is that even a word? I'm gonna copyright that.
So more than likely, nothing will come of it this year, but even if the potential of a pilot program for next year at the certain hours of the day or something, or in the evening, right, 4 to 7 or something, families are out, I don't know, but that's something I guess. And like Councillor Brandt had said, the legalities and the costing of that. Any other comments on this? Any other questions or comments on Mark's report? I think that was it.
That was it, yes.
Okay, is there a mover and seconder for a motion to receive the report? Councillor Glad and Councillor Smith. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next item, recommendation for the vault demolition. Everybody has the report? I'm on the right one, right? Yeah. Okay, do any members of the council have any questions? So we all know that building is in terrible condition, right? The basement is not habitable. We did try in previous years getting people to go in there, and it's just it's not safe. Councillor Smith.
No, yeah, I like the idea of tearing it down. My question is I think you may have said this to me before, and I could forget things. But the value of the land after the building's been demoed is equal to or greater than the money we're about to spend to demo it.
Yeah, it'd be very comparable. I think it would enhance it. And we have had some unsolicited interest in the properties. I think by knocking it down, you have the ability to have a one bigger lot there as opposed to 2 small lots right now. So so certainly that's something you have to try to sell after, but I don't see from some initial conversations that I've had moving into this piece, I don't see where that will be a huge issue. I think at worst you'd be in either a profitable or a net revenue or a net neutral situation when you're knocking one down and selling one.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few years now, and this pricing is it's very decent. So I think, like you mentioned there, yeah, this is one of those things, net neutral or make some money, but again, it's going to enhance the main street of Red Rock, which is going to open up a spot for a nice new building. So I love this idea.
Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, is there a mover and seconder for motion to approve the quote from D Hurd Contracting for the demolition of the old vault building located at 51 Saul Street in the amount of 25,780 plus HST? Counselor Muir, Counselor Gladden, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next item, 8.5, is a report on the 2024 budget, proposed budget. Everyone has the report. Do any members of council have any questions of Mr. Figlamini, or how would you like to do this?
I know questions are.
Questions first? and then
Questions
if-
are fine, yeah,
maybe some
and then
highlights after?
we can easily highlight, some of the highlights of where we found ourselves, for 2024, but, I can do it either way. I can kind of start with the highlights or go through some of the budget, kind of in a holistic line by line kind of thing manner, if you like, based on the report that that you were shared. So the summary, if you like, we can, so if you wanted to go through it that way, if you look at what we call page 1 or the operating budget summary. So page 1, 2, and 3, I mean, we'll skim through, but what they do show you is kind of the operating estimate budget for 2024. So it shows you the revenues and expenses going through the community. It shows the general operating budget, so operating alone of 3.654,053,086. What we are proposing is a 3.9% levy increase across the classes for the Township of Red Rock. Slide number 2 gets into total expenses by category. So they're broken out, and again, this is municipal wide. So it breaks out your contract services, your materials, supplies, your outside transfers, your rents and financial, your salaries and benefits. I think the highlight of this document shows the progression made for 2024 and the direction that we had to go, which was saving money. Obviously, you'll see that those numbers are down in the comparables. The next one shows you total expenses by department. Again, it hits your main departments: general government, environmental services, which is your water, wastewater, landfill, etc., health, planning and development, protection to persons and property, recreation and culture, social family services, and transportation services. I think generally the message you're going to see there again is you see that 2024 represented by the last line is down or at par in most areas. And then when we get to the next slides, it gets into the kind of the meat of pulling these 3 documents together. So we'll start with general government, and again, you see the slides, and then the back page shows you your summary based on that department. So general government, again, you'll see where that entails, reflects generally cost savings throughout the municipality. Your general government is made up of your clerk and treasurer department, your council budgets. It's Raven Council, it's clerk treasurer, it's also the municipal building itself. So that picture, and if you go to the next chart, I'm not sure if there's any questions on the numbers or if we want to field questions kind of from council at the end, but you will see again that, I mean, as directed, we came back with a budget that shows a positive reflection for 2024 based on where we were in previous years. I'll highlight it and then we'll go through questions because I do have some highlights to go through after as well on some notes. But protection to persons and property, that covers your fire department, police department. You see a general kind of across the board there's numbers that are slightly up, but generally speaking, that budget stays pretty straight. OPP costs obviously go up each year. So that's what protection and property cover. Transportation expenses, this is your Public Works Department. So you can see where we've, our salaries and benefits line is down. I mean, it's no secret that we've asked more of less. And I think staff has really responded. They're doing a good job. I mean, we found ourselves in a place where if we didn't ask and make some tough decisions and some tough changes, I don't know where we would have continued to go. So again, that reflects change there as well. The environmental services, that is, again, that's garbage pickup, all of your pumping stations, et cetera, your water and wastewater plants. So some of your larger infrastructure. I think one of the only places you'll see a significant is in rents and financial, where you see we're significantly up this year. That represents insurance. We didn't have to insure the new wastewater plant prior to completion. So that building took on a significant cost to the township based on insurance. So generally speaking, that whole department is at par or down. We've made some changes to the way we operate based on pumping our sludge, et cetera. We've made some significant changes there to save money. It's also one of the still biggest challenges in the budget, because I mean, that building is continuing to be an expensive building to operate for the municipality. It's ran a few different angles on why it's costing us more money, and some are due to taxation and actual assessed value of that building. So again, it's a budget that is lean. It reflects change. It reflects tough decisions, and I think it really puts the Township of Red Rock in a good spot moving forward. Health services, kind of uncontrollable. This is your ambulance or your EMS levies. These are district health unit levies, so kind of outside transfers. Not much we can personally do to adjust these budgets. Same with social and family services. So you look at that, your DSAB levy. That one went up a bit, and that's again due to the wastewater plant, because of our assessed value going up, our commercial assessed value in the municipality. So DSAB, they assess you based on your assessed value. So brings us to recreation and culture, and again, you see significant savings there. Lots of it's again in salaries and benefits. It's planning and development. This is our economic development, community development. You will see an increase in this overall budget, and that's kind of reflected by some changes internally as well, and some duties that are flowing through that department now, and some general good practice on investing more in the community, and doing it in a way that you're giving back. You're not. So it's a small increase when you look at it, but it's again an important piece of the budget. The last one is public library. So that's an outside piece of the budget. So I mean, the public library is a little bit of a different setup. It works through the library board and then comes to council. Council approves it. So the library, you do see a bit of an increase there as well, and I'll highlight that again when I get to the notes. But I believe it was 8 or 9% of an increase in the library. So generally speaking, that's our operating budget. So our operating budget is it comes in at that $3.6 million general operating budget. And the last page is your capital budget. So what your capital budget is a kind of a synopsis snapshot of your departments and a lot of the major projects that you're undergoing right now and how they're funded. So you'll see, for example, the Recreation Center Rehabilitation Project. I mean, it's broken down nicely into what the project costs, what the funding is, and what the township's portion is, and you'll see that's funded through our debenture. The asset management plan, which is another project that we're working on. So the other category represents one of three things. It represents CCBF, which is your federal gas tax funding. It represents NORDS, which is Northern Ontario Resource Development funding, or OSIF funding, which is the community infrastructure funding. So those are all pools of money that come to the municipality annually. So to offset costs based on infrastructure. So you'll see that our capital budget's 2.2 million, brings our total budget to I believe it's 5.9 million when you look at capital and operating. I think there's some general highlights that I'd like to kind of go through of where we came from 2023's budget to current. I think we all know and remember back to sitting in the room for 2023's budget where we had to project, because again, a budget is just a kind of a guess into time where we were balancing a budget for the township based on borrowing from reserves. So happy to announce that we did not have to do that in our 2023 year. So we corrected ourselves, made corrections internally, both by decisions and changes made in internal operations. So there was significant savings throughout that year, many tough decisions, but again, we did not need that transfer to reserves to balance the budget. So that's a good news story. Another highlight that impacted the budget, I believe this year, was significant insurance savings. So we were able to see about $35,000 in net insurance savings. That goes a very long way in a budget our size. The town of Red Rock, for example, we were able to invest money again. So we were able to open a GIC, something we haven't really been able to put money back into the community for a while. So that's an investment that now earns income and acts as an asset for the community. I think the wastewater pollution control plant, again, that played a significant role in managing this year's budget because of the assessed value of the building and the fact that internally the community had to take on about $55,000 in additional tax based on that building. The win out of that was we were able to solidify the fact that we do not have to submit school board tax for those buildings. So it put us in a bit of a place where we've paid them for 2023 because we were directed to pay them. So we kind of are in a credit position this year, and moving forward won't have to pay that. So that was a project we undertook. We were successful with that. So I think that's one that was really good work by the staff as well. So and this 2024 budget, although it's not showing that I don't believe personally where I think we fully need to be, but when it all comes down in the numbers, what we are projecting in this budget is a surplus of approximately $60,000 that we would be able to council would be able to make that decision based on once the year ends on where we can put into reserves. So a complete turnaround and flip from 2023 where we were borrowing from reserves. We're now investing in ourselves, and we significantly need it. We have fleet that needs updating. We have facilities that need updating. It's something that you really strive to do, and I think it's an accomplishment that we should all be somewhat proud of, because I mean, when you look at it from a couple of years ago, I'll look at it and say I didn't know if we'd be here this quick, but we are. And again, some of those decisions, some of the reasons we are here aren't always the best and most fun decisions to make when you're you know, leading a municipality, but nonetheless, it's got us. It's kind of got us into a spot where we're heading in the right direction. That's for sure. Yeah, I think it shows that we just made our way through a situation with the holdback on a $25 million wastewater facility. So just to speak to that, I mean, a 10% holdback on that project for probably 90 days. We had to put ourselves into a position to be able to fund that. We did it. We're through it. I think the final claim is coming this week. So claim number 37, for example, showed up on Friday. So we made our way through what was a very, very lot of sleepless nights based on the fact that I didn't know if we were going to be able to fund our way through that piece of it, but we did. Great work by staff again, and so I think it's a good news story. I'm ready to field any questions that council has. I've been through this document, I think, for hours again today, and probably got, I don't know how many hours in it. So hopefully I can answer any questions that you do have.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for going through that. I think this budget is very good. 3.9% is, and a lot of it's investing back in the community with the rec center, ICE, GIC, the library increase. We're gonna have money in the surplus for reserves, which is extremely important to have money in the reserves. Sitting from a personal aspect, from a taxpayer point of view myself, you know, it's one of those things that I understand. I'm going to pay a little bit more to see this town continue on where we're going, because at the same time, we're a municipality that a lot of the revenue that could be on here isn't there, like our tourism. There's still a subdivision. There's a lithium ion plant. There's a deep, I mean, there's so much potential here as well too. So the revenues are just going to go up. But as far as the work that you've done, it's yeah, I think we're investing in Red Rock, and we're not really all investing quite a bit. Are you able to just kind of go through just a basic cost per household, so people are aware, like what you're paying a year? So I think, yeah, if you want to just run through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so we did a quick synopsis today, as well as last week, and furthered it today. So what we did is we looked at the average home in Red Rock, and so we took assessed value, because that's how your taxes are basically generated or comprised. It's assessed value, and then we set a tax rate based on the overall assessed value of the community. So if you have a house assessed at $50,000 in Red Rock, which is the general common house that we see in our community, your projected tax increase is about $6.02 per month. So about $72.23 a year. We looked at some other houses, because we do understand that there is different assessed values in our community. So if you take the number of approximately a house assessed at $100,000, which again, we do have houses that are assessed in that range, your increase per year will be $144.45 in comparison. So to put that into a monthly payment, our monthly is $12.04. We also took it in $50,000 increments based on the assessed value. So we do have some houses that are assessed a lot higher. So if you're in a house that's assessed in the $150,000 range, your increase will be $216.68 per year, which breaks down to about $18.06 a month. So I did share with council some comparisons across the North Shore. I think we compared looks like maybe 8 different communities. There's, I guess, 5 that are a lot higher than us and 3 that are in that general area for tax increase based on 2024. So we're definitely on par with all other communities, that's for sure.
Thanks, I appreciate that. When you think about it, $18, you know, when you compare it, when I use the beer analogy again, when you look at it, it's the cost of a beer, everything's gone up. So I think you've done a fantastic job with it. This is a great budget. You've all done a good job, in my opinion.
Any other questions? On the budget? Or on the report? Go ahead.
Just to kind of ditto, kind of without the beer analogy with Councilor Muir there. I do like the approach you guys took to the budget this year, as opposed to last year, being the layout, how everything's presented, and it's easier for us to understand and kind of grasp what you're trying to portray to us. So I want to say again, good job on that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's gonna only get easier because when you look at where we've come, I mean, this is technically the second budget I've presented to council. I didn't when in my first year, I wasn't responsible for the budget under the structure we had then. So you got to think back and remember that over the last, if you took 5 years, you've got what, 4 different people that are presenting budgets in 4 different ways, and all of them work. They all certainly work. And I'm not saying that one is done differently or better than the other, but it does take a bit of time to put a document together and have a structure. This, I think, what you see now moving forward. I mean, if we all stay together at this table, that I think that's the system that you'll see moving forward.
Any other comments? I'd just like to say, like, a lot of our items are fixed costs, right? Policing, like fire, DSAB, EMS, like certain things are just, it's just standard. That's automatically going to go up if our assessments are going to go up. So those things we can't change. We've done a lot of work, a lot of hard decisions over the last year on moving Red Rock forward in the structure that we have. And this is what it's come to, 3.9. No one ever wants to have their taxes go up, but I do feel that is a reasonable rate. Let's say about that, like, if people do have any questions, I mean, this report is online. It's very easy to follow. They can see the breakdown. Well, that's something that's really new to Red Rock if we haven't had that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, for sure, I mean, my style is, I mean, and I think staff can vouch and say that. I mean, I don't know if I've closed my door in my office. I don't. I'd love, I mean, if anyone has questions from the public based on it, then I mean, I'd like to give them those answers, because I mean, I don't think what we're doing is providing true, transparent information to the public, and that's my job. And I mean, I certainly have no trouble answering those questions and explaining why this happens and why things happen. And so I think it's certainly, my door is always open. My email is public. My cell phone is public. It's my job to hopefully gain the confidence of the community, and you know, I mean, everybody's not always going to like the answers, but certainly at least providing the proper information, I think, is the key.
I do feel that we'll probably see some of these questions at the town hall. People were asking, so maybe if we notice that we are getting those questions, we could print out a few copies of this report. Some people might not like, you know, just seeing it online. Have a paper copy of it.
Yeah, and certainly, like, it's online. I mean, all of our financial
Mhm.
information is online. our audited financial statements. We'll be bringing those to council next month from 2023. Yeah, it's all there, and we can easily, for sure, I
No.
agree. I think we'll get these questions and we can certainly have a copy of this. That's not a problem.
Okay, no other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Okay, 9.1 is the 2024 budget bylaw. Do members of council have any further questions on the budget? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to pass the bylaw? Councilor Muir, Councilor Gladden. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, 9.2 is a bylaw to levy and collect taxes for the Township of Red Rock. Do members of council have any questions in this? None. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Councilor Muir, Councilor Smith. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, now we have the additions. Items 10.1 is an addition to the agenda relating to Councillor Gladden's resignation from council. Councillor Gladden and her family have decided to move to Thunder Bay to be with family, and we greatly appreciate all the work she's done for the township and her many years of service. Okay, do any members of council have any questions of Mr. Bigwini? Okay, can I have a mover and seconder for a motion to accept with regrets Councillor Gladden's resignation from Red Rock Town Council effective June 30th, 2024 with regrets, and that council declares a councillor seat vacant on the Red Rock Council effective July 1st. Was it? Yeah, no one's voting. Anyone? Okay. Councillor Muir, yeah, that went sideways pretty quick. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next item 10.2 is an addition to the agenda relating to the filling of the councillor seat on the Township of Red Rock Town Council. Options of filling the vacant seat include a by-election, the accepting of applications, or filling the seat with the next highest count of votes in 2022 election. We're here to discuss. I can, oh, go ahead.
Me personally, I think since it's been about 2 years since we did do an election, and we only have about just under 2 years left. I think kind of the application process for me personally is what I'm leaning towards.
So it's not too often that this has happened, but in the last 4 years, 6 years, 4 years. Unfortunately, one council member had passed away within the year. So what we did at that time was, because it was so soon after the election, we just went with the next person, next count of votes. And then about a year after that, then we had another opening. So then we went with, okay, it's been over 2 years, or it's been close to 2 years. We'll go with submission of applications. And that's the process we went through. Some people in town didn't like the idea that we were flip-flopping, but that was the rationale back then. I still like that. I think it's, it was recommended to us to have actually a policy in place that you could have it broken down, so it's not up to council to decide. If somebody steps down within the year, it's the next person in line, whatever that policy would be. But just then it's out of council's, you know what I mean, out of council's hands. But my personal opinion is to go to the applications. Again, we're over about 2 years, so, but it's whatever council, majority council, Councillor Muir.
Yeah, to be consistent, that is what we did last term, and definitely I think that makes sense. And then maybe we get a bylaw put in place, or the process put in place. So this is it right there. So.
Because a by-election obviously costs some money, right? So we don't want to do that. So I think that option's off the table. So it's with the other two. Councillor Brand.
So I was hoping Nancy wouldn't put us through this. But I have given this some thought. Holding a by-election to me is just an expense we don't need to put the community through. Advertising and interviewing is a little time consuming for our administration. My opinion would be to go with, or at least approach those who have been, who had been on the election roll. It's only been 2 years. I feel that if that is a way that the community has spoken, they've given their opinion and who they wanted. If I was a person who was on and didn't make this table this time, I would certainly appreciate council giving me the opportunity to sit in the vacant spot. So for me, I look at it as community members went to the table, they voted. Unfortunately, some people didn't make it, but they may still be willing and prepared to join the table. And then this way, it's just a matter of a few phone calls. We might get there and call these people, and they might say they've moved on to other things and they're not interested. But that's the route I would like, or I'm most interested in viewing, and that's the community members have spoken to us on the number of votes that were tallied that day. Thank you.
So, like I said, that's why it was a hot topic the last time we had to go through this, because some may consider that you're flip-flopping, but the rationale of it was within the year, use those numbers or use the election roll, and then after that it was open to applications. I don't know how we vote on this, or do we want to take time and come back?
Well, I think the vote has to, I mean, in order to fill the seat the process, I think we should vote on it tonight. That would be my
Okay.
recommendation, because then we can start the process. I mean, remembering with this is Councillor Gladden's final,
Right.
Councillor Gladden's final meeting. She also represents the Township of Red Rock on Thunder Bay District Social Services. So, I mean, it's our obligation, or we are the community to appoint a member there. So, I mean, whether that's somebody sitting here at this table or that's the new member, I think there's a little bit of work to the process, whatever way we do it. The other thing is we don't meet again now until the 15th of July. So, I mean, if council wanted to make that decision on the 15th of July, we could do that. But just knowing that we'll be going without a councillor probably until, maybe early September in that, by the time it turns around. I mean, I don't know, mid-August. So we're just looking for direction, and I believe there is a resolution drawn up, looking for the direction to go. I've never really thought about the other or had it brought to me on a further resolution that states 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, but we can certainly look at that as well for future if it happens. But I mean, we obviously can't do that at this point. So.
Okay, so I have three options in front of me, so I'll just read through them and we'll take a vote, okay?
Yeah.
That's unless anybody else have any comments before I go through this. Okay. Where are we here? Okay. So I'm gonna read this. 1 second. Yep.
Should I be voting on this? Or just abstaining from the vote? I don't really feel comfortable.
You can abstain.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, council approves the filling of the vacant councillor seat on Red Rocks Town Council with option 1 to perform a by-election. Council approves the filling of vacant councillor seat on Red Rocks Town Council with option 2 to accept applications from interested parties. Okay, so I'm not going to read option 3. If that's okay. You want me to read it? I can.
I will.
Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder? To accept the application for filling the seat by accepting applications of persons of interest. Councillor Muir, Councillor Smith. Okay, all in favor? One abstain. Okay. Motion's carried.
So yeah, we can put a process together to put that application or that out. We may actually wait till July 1st, I would think, then on that, but
Okay.
then we can discuss how we want to field those applications at that time. So, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda under unfinished business are relating to EMS consolidation, OPP detachment, Red Rock Minor Hockey, M&R Township landfill ownership, Year Fest 2025. Is there any updates?
The only update I would have is I do have a scheduled meeting this upcoming Friday with the M&R in the city of in Thunder Bay, based on this discussion on landfill ownership. So I will have an update next meeting based on that. No other updates though on any other item. They're all still in progress.
Councillor Muir, I think.
Just with regards to the EMS, just for people to be aware that on social media, Unifor is giving actual updated information. Bless them for doing that. So it's a good thing to follow, so we know what's going on in the area. So good for them.
Okay, so we do have to go back into closed session. So I have a mover and a seconder for motion to go back into closed session under the authorities printed in the agenda. Councillor Brand, Councillor Muir, all in favor? Motion's carried at time 8:22. Okay, council rose from closed session at 9:07. And we discuss legal matters in closed session. Next item is the confirming proceedings of council. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Councillor Muir, Councillor Gladden. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next meeting is July 15th. And thank you, Nancy, for everything. Time being 9:08, meeting is adjourned.